Do you feel confident enough with your English to answer questions about your evenings, cooking, a mobile phone application that you use, and technology in general? If you'd like to get some good ideas about how to answer these questions and sound more like a native speaker, then come and join me. Hello there, it's David from IELTS Teacher 365 here. In this IELTS mock speaking test, I will be playing the role of a candidate from Serbia, Alexander. I hope I pronounced that right. And he will be answering questions about his evenings, cooking, a mobile phone application that he uses, and the topic of technology in general. So, if you're looking to improve your speaking or just get a higher IELTS band score, then I think you're going to find this a really useful video. Remember, to get the most out of this video, pay attention to the language I use and my native speaker pronunciation. So, if you're ready, let's get started.
Can you tell me your full name, please?
I'm Alexander Markovic.
And where are you from?
I'm from Serbia. I was born here in Belgrade and I've lived here all my life.
Can I see your identification, please?
Yes. Here you are.
Thank you, that's fine. Now, in this first part, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. Let's talk about what you do. Do you work or are you a student?
I work. I'm a tourist guide here in the city.
And why did you choose this job?
Well, I've always been extremely interested in history, and that's what I chose to study at university. And the best thing about this job is that it allows me to share my passion for the history of my own city, not only with people from my own country, but also with visitors and tourists from all over the world.
Do you enjoy your job?
Yes, of course. I think I'm one of those lucky people who makes a living doing what they love most. As I said before, I'm passionate about the history of my city, and so working as a tourist guide doesn't really feel like work. Another good aspect of my job is that I get to meet people from all over the world, and this also gives me an opportunity to practice different languages with them.
Is there anything you dislike about your job?
No, not really. I find my job extremely rewarding. I think if I had to say anything, then perhaps I'd say the weather, although this isn't strictly related to the job itself. But as a tourist guide, I work both indoors and outdoors. And so if the weather isn't very nice, then it's less enjoyable for everybody, me and the tourists. But apart from that, I can't really think of anything else.
Let's talk about evening activities. How do you like to spend your evenings at home?
Well, I have 2 young children, aged 2 and 4, and I look forward to spending time with them in the evenings. Sometimes we go to the park if the weather's okay, and if not, we stay at home and play games and read books together. Once the children are asleep, my wife and I like to sit down and watch a bit of television. We both like documentaries, and we also spend a little bit of time discussing work because we both do the same job. And then at bedtime, I like to read. I'm very interested in historical novels.
How often do you go out in the evening?
Well, as I said before, when I get home from work, I like to take my children to the park so that they can run around outside and get some fresh air. And if my wife's at home, then sometimes we go for family walks, especially in spring and summer when the weather's better. And at weekends, we often go to a cafe or a restaurant and have something to eat or drink. And in the evenings, if my parents can babysit for us, then my wife and I like to go out for dinner. Although this doesn't happen very often, I'm afraid.
Is there anything you would like to change about your evenings?
Well, I really enjoy my evenings with my family, But I suppose if I could change something, then perhaps I would like a little bit more time for myself. In the past, I used to go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week. Now, I think I'm lucky to go 2 or 3 times a month. Something else I used to do was play basketball with some colleagues from university. Afterwards, we'd have a drink and spend some time chatting together, and I quite miss this. So yeah, perhaps that, a little bit more time for myself, to do some exercise, see some friends and socialize.
Now let's talk about cooking. Do you like cooking?
Well, I do now, but I didn't used to. When I lived at home, my mother did all the cooking. And so when I got married, I didn't really know how to make anything, even though I enjoy eating and appreciate good food. And my wife doesn't like cooking at all, and so I've had to learn how to do this by myself, also with a bit of help from my mother. And I have to say that nowadays I'm pretty good at it. And at weekends I enjoy being adventurous and trying out new recipes off the internet.
Who usually cooks the meals in your home?
Well, as I said before, my wife isn't very keen on cooking, and so I tend to do most of it. In my case, eating's a pleasure, and so I don't mind taking the time to prepare something special. The problem is, I don't always have enough time to do a cooked meal every night of the week. So what I try to do is prepare more of my favourite dishes at the weekend. That way I can freeze them or have food in the fridge that just needs to be heated up in the microwave.
What are the advantages of home cooking?
Well, first and foremost, homemade cooking is much healthier than eating snack or convenience food, which tends to be very high in calories and full of salt and preservatives. The other obvious advantage is taste. When you cook a nice homemade meal using fresh ingredients, you can really savour and appreciate the flavours. You can't really say the same about a microwave pizza or a burger from a fast food restaurant. And finally, I think cooking is a very pleasant and relaxing activity. I enjoy being in the kitchen with a glass of wine, listening to music, while I'm preparing my favourite dishes.
Thank you. Now, I'm going to give you a topic, and I'd like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. Before you talk, you'll have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say, and you can make some notes if you wish. Do you understand?
Yes.
So here's some paper and a pen to make some notes. And here's your topic. Please don't write anything on the booklet. I'd like you to describe a useful app that you use on your smartphone or tablet.
Describe a useful app that you use on your smartphone or tablet. You should say what the name of the app is, what kind of app it is, what features it has, and explain why you think it is useful for you.
All right?
Yes.
Remember, you have 1 to 2 minutes for this, so don't worry if I stop you. I'll tell you when the time is up. Can you start speaking now, please?
Okay, well, I'm going to talk about Spotify, which is an app that I have on my smartphone, and I use it every single day of the week. It's definitely my favorite app, and if I could only have one app on my phone, this would be the one. Spotify is a well-known music app which has a library of over 50 million songs, I think. And so whatever kind of music you're into, you can listen to it there. This app has a free and a paid version, which is called Spotify Premium. And the free version has advertising after every 2 or 3 songs, I think. But after doing a 1-month free trial of the Spotify Premium, I realized I couldn't go back to the free version because I found the advertising so annoying. So now I pay and have the premium version. One of the best features of Spotify, in my opinion, is that you can make your own playlists. All you have to do is click on the new playlist button and then start adding songs that you like. And there's another feature that I really appreciate, which is called Fans Also Like. And what this does is recommend bands and singers that are very similar to the one that you're listening to. For me, this has been a great way to discover new music and also to remember bands and singers that I'd completely forgotten about. Another great feature of this app is that you can download a certain number of songs to your phone. So if you do happen to be in a place with no internet connection, then you can still listen to your favorite music. So to sum up, if you're somebody who's really into music, then I can't recommend this application highly enough.
Thank you. Do you think you will continue to use this app in the future?
Yes, absolutely. As I said before, I love music and I use this app every single day of the week, and so I don't really see that changing. I suppose if a music app came along that was free and had no advertising, then I might consider changing just to save money. But to be honest, I can't really see that happening, and so for the time being, I'm going to stick with Spotify.
Thank you. Can I take the booklet and the pencil and paper back, please? Thank you. We've been talking about a useful app that you use, and I'd like to discuss with you one or two more general questions related to this. So, let's consider, first of all, how technology affects our lives. How much do you think technology has changed our lives?
Well, I think it's fair to say that almost every aspect of life nowadays has changed thanks to advances in technology. For me, I think one of the most dramatic changes has been the advent of the internet, smartphones, and social networks. These have completely revolutionized how often humans interact with each other and how we stay connected. I imagine hardly anyone nowadays sends a handwritten letter, a postcard, or a telegram, and the use of traditional landline telephones is in continual decline too. And another area where technology is having a huge impact is in the field of health. Advances in medicine have eradicated many diseases and illnesses in many countries, and as a result, life expectancy is increasing every decade. So, as we can see, technology has already had an enormous impact on life today, and will continue to do so in the future, only much faster, I think.
How does today's technology compare with that of 25 years ago?
To be honest, if you look at the technology of 25 years ago, I don't think there's any comparison with what we have today. In those days, there were no smartphones, tablets, and the internet was still in its infancy. And another thing that's changed dramatically during this time is how dependent we've become on it. A quarter of a century ago, people could live without a computer in their homes, whereas nowadays we can't imagine being without our smartphone for even one day. And if we take a look at microchip technology, for example, nowadays they're much smaller and faster and far more powerful than they were 25 years ago. And so everything else that relies on this technology has moved in the same direction, smaller, faster, and more powerful. And the other big difference is how widespread the use of technology is in areas where it didn't used to exist. To give you an example, we recently bought a new car, and the dashboard has so many buttons, it looks more like the cockpit of an aeroplane than an automobile.
In what new ways will technology help us in the future?
Well, I think in the future, technology will help us in new ways in every area of life. Take health and fitness, for example. We've already seen the boom in smartwatches and other devices that measure our heartbeat and a whole host of other things. And I think they'll continue to improve in the future and become more widespread, as health is something that concerns everybody. And I know for a fact that big companies like Google are plowing a lot of money into the robotics industry. And although this technology is still in its infancy, it's not too hard to imagine a near future where robots play an important role in our day-to-day lives. And nowadays, as more and more people are living longer, I think technology is going to play a crucial role in feeding our planet's ever-increasing population. I guess this is going to be a major issue in the coming decades, and so I'm sure we'll be relying on technology to come up with more efficient agricultural methods.
Let's go on and think about problems associated with technology. What negative effects can technology have on our daily lives?
To my mind, one of the negative aspects of technology is that it's leading to an increase in social isolation. I mean, if you sit on a bus or train nowadays, you see everyone in their own little world, staring at their mobile phone with earplugs in, and I think this is causing a decrease in social skills amongst people, especially youngsters who spend hours in front of computer screens, playing games online or chatting to so-called online friends. And I think for many of us, being connected 24/7 is a source of stress and continual distraction. I know some people who feel the need to answer every call or check every text message the second they receive it. They're simply unable to disconnect from their devices. And I've read that this is having a direct impact on people's ability to concentrate and is resulting in people feeling much more stressed out than they were, say, a decade ago.
Do you think advances in technology are creating more or fewer jobs?
Well, I think the answer to this question is both. More jobs in some sectors and fewer in others. It's true that many new posts have been and continue to be created as a result of the advent of the internet and advances in technology. Nowadays, companies advertise for a wide spectrum of positions, such as web designers, community managers, and big data analysts, to name just a few. And many of these jobs didn't even exist 25 years ago. On the other hand, there are some pretty grim predictions for other sectors, where the vast majority of jobs are expected to disappear in the next 10 or 20 years. I think the postal service is going to be very badly hit, as fewer and fewer people and companies are sending letters nowadays. And also the retail sector is going to be severely affected, as more and more of us are buying online from the same 2 or 3 internet giants. So we may see the disappearance of many traditional high street shops.
Okay, thank you very much. That is the end of the speaking test.
Thank you. Goodbye. Okay, so there you have it. How did Alexander do? What score would you give him for part 1, 2 and 3? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and if you haven't already, hit subscribe and the bell below so that you never miss a video or the opportunity to improve your English and your IELTS bound score. I'm David. Thanks very much for watching. So until next time, take care and keep practicing.